20 years ago, the Glazer family bought my beloved club.
Malcolm Glazer has made his takeover bid.
Full control at Old Trafford.
Those 20 years started well. On the pitch success, record commercial revenues, and even success in Europe. Recently though, the model has changed. Others have stepped in, and now we have minority owners taking complete operational control of the club. Across town, things are a bit different. A Middle Eastern state owns them, and they are flush with cash. As much as it pains me to say it, they've had a lot of success too. Their success and their influence started pretty much when the takeover happened, but that success has an asterisk next to it. Well, not just one asterisk, 115 asterisks. So what's the best setup? The hybrid model like Man United? The state-owned model like PSG or Man City? Or maybe it's something different. Private equity ownership like AC Milan? Or the 50+1 setup in Germany? I've always wanted to know this. So today, with research from Lucas Novik, we're going to explore. We are going to look at the ideal ownership structure for football clubs. The pros, the cons, the pitfalls, and the benefits of all types. To kick off, we are going to start with the state-owned guys in the Middle East. And yeah, I'm going to show you something. It's quite impressive. This is the trophy hall for PSG since Qatar Sports Investments bought them back in 2011. It's insane. This is the trophy hall for Man City since Sheikh Mansour and his consortium from Abu Dhabi bought them in 2008. This too, admittedly, is also quite impressive. Now look at the total expenditure that Man City have had on players in that time. This table is not net spend, it's just top line expenditure on players. And as you can see, only Chelsea have topped them in this period. Chelsea, we'll get back to them later. PSG is even more alarming. Their spend relative to the rest of France is, quite frankly, a joke. And here's what you get with state-owned ownership. You get owners awash with cash. These owners are typically from the Middle East, and they have unbelievable cash reserves to spend. They also have big ambitions. They're not just investing in the football club, they're investing in the local infrastructure. They're investing in the area surrounding the football club too. They tend to do it without much thinking. And you might think, well, you're the owner of a football team, you should be doing this anyway. No? Yes, you're right. But so far, from what we've seen, these owners get it done fast. Middle Eastern states have wanted global appeal for some time and have found football clubs to be unbelievable marketing vessels. It's working for Abu Dhabi, it's working for Qatar. And from what we are seeing from the very north of England, it's starting to work for Saudi Arabia too. So when you're owned by a state, you get success and you get a lot of spending, which on paper are two things which are very desirable for football fans. There are some drawbacks though. As a fan, you have to ask yourself a moral question. Do I care to be a fan of a football club backed by this regime? Let's face it, Middle Eastern countries have some questionable records. Thousands and thousands of people reportedly die building infrastructure in the home countries. Women have only just started to develop rights. Free speech is punished. Journalists get killed. Many of these states use football or sport as a way to mask the image of their country. In addition, there are some suspect business practices. PSG signed a deal with the Qatar Tourism Authority early in their takeover for 200 million euros annually. UEFA later deemed this to be excessive. They reduced it to 100 million euros per year and imposed some FFP sanctions on the club. Man City have been sponsored by Etihad Airways for many years, but leaked emails suggest that the sponsorship money that they get from Etihad Airways has been subsidized by Sheikh Mansour himself. As you know, City are embroiled in one of the deepest football investigations we have ever seen. I am recording this video in May 2025. It remains to be seen how this plays out. But you have to ask yourself as a fan, do I like this? Do I like my club to be a vessel for state-owned rebranding? Do I like my club to be used as a mask for the practices that happen in the country of my owner's home? A lot of people in Manchester don't care. Same in Paris. But a lot of people do. The latest state-backed venture is in Newcastle. Newcastle United against sport washing is a group of people who do not like the regime currently in the city. They frequently stage protests and have a growing audience on Twitter. Some have even said they've been a lifelong Newcastle fan for decades, but they aren't anymore due to their new owners. So herein lies the quandary with state-owned football ownership. Is football a piece of entertainment for you and all you care about is just seeing your team win? If so, from what we've seen so far, it's fantastic. Or is football a bit deeper to you and you want to feel part of a wider community? If so, then owning a piece of a club or a say in the operations of a club might be perfect for you. And that's what we see in Germany. Before we get to Germany, I mentioned Saudi a fair bit there. So far, if you've been following my platform, I haven't mentioned Saudi Arabia once. And that is because I am building a Saudi series for you. The story is incredible, and I'm going to tell it. It will be episodic, one episode per sport. Football and there's a lot about Newcastle in there. Boxing, you already know how much I talk about boxing on this channel. Golf, Formula One, esports, and everything else. You've all been requesting it, so I've started to make them. If you want early access into the Saudi series, click the link in the description and enter your email. You'll get added to my newsletter, but you'll also get some information about when the Saudi series is coming and what it's going to entail. Now, over to Germany, where they do things a lot different compared to everywhere else. Check this. I want to see Bundesliga compete globally, but not at the cost of its soul. The matchday experience, the full stadiums, the passion of the ultras. That's what makes German football special. If investors come in and try to mute that culture, it fades. This is Jonas. He is a TLP subscriber and he's a supporter of Borussia Mönchengladbach. When I was writing this video, I spoke to Jonas about the 50+1 setup in Germany. His takes were very strong. In Germany, fans have ownership in most clubs. It works like this. A non-profit organization serves as the parent entity. This is called an EV or an Eingetragener Verein. This non-profit must retain 50% plus one vote in the club's operational organization. The rest can be owned by another company, an individual, or a consortium of investors. The best example here is Bayern Munich. Their setup is like this. 75% of the club is owned by the EV. It's called Bayern Munich EV. The rest of the 25% is then split amongst three companies, Audi, Adidas, and Allianz. The EV, though, has 300,000 members as a part of it. That's making it one of the biggest sports clubs in the entire world. It's amazing, and the entire point of this setup is to prevent any investor or company taking over and using the club for profits rather than the passion of football. Again, on paper, this is exactly what you want from a fan. You have a say and you feel a part of the club that's dearest to your heart. It's fair and it keeps you, the fan, at the forefront. In 2021, HSV were struggling financially and they were considering selling more shares to Klaus-Michael Kühne. The club's members voted against the proposal, which would have given Kühne more influence and potentially even bypassed the 50+1 rule. In 2022, FC Cologne started talking to Visit Saudi for a lucrative sponsorship. Those state-owned guys are back again. Members raised ethical concerns over Saudi Arabia's human rights record. Fans protested, media pressure intensified, and they backed out of the deal, citing incompatibility with the club values. Jonas also told me that Borussia Mönchengladbach is one of the few clubs in Germany who have not sold the naming rights of the stadium either. Again, fan wishes over profits. So as you can see here in Germany, you have a say. However, one of the drawbacks of this model is that this setup restricts outside investment into a club. Unless your team is lucky enough to attract investment from individuals who do not have significant control in the organization, then sometimes teams struggle financially. And let's be clear, if you're an investor that's willing to invest several millions into a football club, you'd probably want a stronger say in how it's run, but that might be difficult in Germany. Generally, to make it, you have to have several years of slow and steady success to really get ahead and compete at the elite level in Germany and in Europe. Borussia Dortmund have done this, but to do this they had unbelievable management, they had a strong set of players for several years, and they fulfilled their potential. All of those things aligning is very difficult to do. There's also an argument to be made that the people power that the 50+1 rule promises is actually a bit of an illusion. There is an exemption in Germany where if a club has been backed by a company for more than 20 years, the 50+1 rule can be bypassed. Bayer Leverkusen are one of these clubs. They have been owned and funded by Bayer 04 since 1904, a big pharmaceutical company in Europe. Wolfsburg and Leipzig are others that go around this. They do not follow the same rules as most other clubs in Germany. So there you have it. As a fan, do you want a say? Do you want to be a member? Even if it means that your club maybe doesn't compete financially at the top level. Like Jonas says, does having a wealthy owner of your football team make the club lose its soul? Like Chelsea? These guys fascinate me. Roman Abramovich wasn't a state, but he might as well have been. Rampant ambitions, big cash, and a lot of success in a very short amount of time. Chelsea fans had to, I guess, look past his past, but they often did due to the success that they experienced on the pitch. Todd Boehly made his money in asset management, and he is a serial sports team owner. They too have had a tumultuous tenure since Todd took over, similar to Burnley. Burnley are pure private equity owned. ALK Capital bought 84% of Burnley a few years ago, around 2020. The fans didn't like that. Private equity deals are usually funded by debt. And that's exactly what happened with Burnley. Prior to the takeover, Burnley were in a fairly favourable cash position. The 2020 deal by ALK Capital, however, loaded the club with eye-watering levels of debt, and this did not go down very well with the Burnley faithful. This is what was on the company accounts in the years pre and post acquisition, cash at bank and the amount owed to debtors. That's a pretty big difference. Burnley have just been promoted to the Premier League, so the increase in revenues that the Premier League will bring will help this entire situation. But this is something that you have to expect when private equity comes swooping for your club. Private equity companies usually see football teams as a way to realize profits. That is the entire MO of a private equity company. If you've been a fan or a subscriber to my channel for some time, you'll know I did a long piece on private equity's involvement in European football. It's fascinating how rampant private equity involvement has been, and we're starting to see some of the impact of those deals right before our eyes today. I had to restructure this video because as I was putting it together, AC Milan fans just finished their season and they were protesting very loudly against their private equity ownership. This image is pretty telling. It reads, Cardinale, Fulani, Scaroni, Ibra, Moncada, leave, free Milan from this agony. Damn. Despite this though, AC Milan did win the Scudetto a few seasons ago. Burnley have just been promoted to the Premier League. Inter Milan, who are also private equity owned, also won their league a few years ago too. It's not all doom and gloom when PE comes swooping, but those AC Milan guys are not having fun right now. So again, pick your poison. If you made it this far in this video, then you're a nerd like me and you love all of this stuff. Thank you for commenting and engaging on every single piece of content that I make. It means the world to me. What kills me though is a lot of you who are watching this video aren't actually subscribed. It blows my mind. So if you're watching, I'm asking you to do two things. One, subscribe below. I've got so much more content coming for you this summer. I can't wait to show you it. Second, follow me on Twitter. I'm not calling that shit X. It's always going to be Twitter to me. Follow me over there and you can get more of these insights a lot faster than when I release them on YouTube. Now, since building this platform, it's often made me think, if I was rich, would I want to own a football club? Remember when Usher said, I just got the ring, I think I deserve a toast? Well, he invested $9 million in the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2005. He got reportedly about 1% of the franchise in exchange. 11 years later, LeBron James led them to an NBA title in 2016 in one of the best title runs any athlete has ever had in history. This then ballooned the value of the franchise, and that stake for Usher is now worth reportedly double that today. So if I was Usher, or if I was as rich as Usher, would I take my $9 million and buy a minority in a much bigger franchise? Or would I take my money and buy the club itself, a much smaller, maybe lower level club? Well, this man is Andy Holt. He bought Accrington Stanley back in 2015, clearing £1.2 million of debt that they had and investing $600,000 of his own money into the club too. He's a local man. He lives in the area. Oh, Jesus. He's a local man. He lives in the area and he just wanted to see his team grow. And this is a pro of having a local businessman own your club. There is a genuine connection with the community. Andy Holt has done a tremendous job with the club on and off the pitch. They overachieved spending in League One with one of the smallest budgets in the EFL, and the stadium is one of the best pitches in the league. Accrington Stanley's transformation under Andy Holt has been nothing short of remarkable. Holt's focus on infrastructure and youth development is commendable. These are some of the comments I saw online from fans when making this video. However, as a local owner, you have to sink a lot of cash into a club in the hope of something greater into the future. You basically have to eat losses for several years. Recently, in May of 2025, Accrington Stanley had to close its academy due to financial struggles. Holt also stepped away from any executive presence at Accrington Stanley after several challenges with the local council preventing or hindering the club from growing. You become over-reliant on one owner when it's a local businessman, and sometimes you run into issues. Also, these projects are often passion projects for rich, wealthy benefactors in the local area. Many of them don't have any footballing expertise or operational expertise needed to take your club to the next level. Andy Holt made his money with Whatmore UK. These guys are manufacturers of plastic kitchenware. There's a logical question here. You're clearly a successful businessman, but what experience do you have running a football club? Sometimes there's a lack of expertise. Which then brings me on to my beloved club. The Glazers own this club. They have even more voting rights. But Ineos control everything. They hire, they do the football transfers, they even build the stadiums. As a fan, we are away from the Glazers' decision making, but we are not away from their ownership. It felt like Man United were being used as a dividend shop for quite a while. So finally, we have new people making the decisions. However, I'm recording this video in May of 2025. We've had a rough week, and this is maybe the lowest I felt as a Man United fan in a long time. The only thing I hope is that there isn't a power struggle at some point in the future. It's not common to have a wealthy benefactor owning the majority and a minority owner controlling the club. It hasn't happened so far, but somehow I expect at some point in the future, there's going to be a clash where X wants one thing, Y wants another. And who wins in that agreement? There's two other structures that I haven't spoken about. One is in Argentina, where non-profit organizations own football clubs. Subscribe to my newsletter to get a deep dive on that. Two, multi-club ownership. I've strategically omitted them because stay tuned. I'm Jordan. I've loved putting this together. Click here to watch a lot of bad ownership of football clubs in China. Click here to understand about stadiums and why they are critical to football clubs and why they're so important to whoever owns your football team. Thank you to research from Lucas. See you next time.